What we've seen, Svetsky, is a calculated effort by some members of the U.S. government to at least slow down the adoption of Bitcoin. The regulatory hostility. So, it makes perfect sense. Obviously, they want to be able to control the money, print money, because, that's how they pay for stuff that they normally wouldn't be able to afford if they were just collecting tax revenue alone. So does that worry you a bit? Like, what's going to happen there?
I mean, if we came into this thing thinking that there wasn't going to be a fight, like, surprise, surprise, there's going to be a fight. I mean, does it worry me? I mean, like, for me personally, this is, regulatory capture was one of the big reasons why I moved away from my prior companies, that I didn't want to play ball. So, I did that. And, there might be others who do something similar, or they stay and fight and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Like, when you're building kind of a bridge between these two systems, right? So, like, as I said, Bitcoin's incompatible with the existing system, right? And the existing system is incompatible with Bitcoin. I saw some idiot, what was that? During the SVB thing, some Ethereum clown or shitcoiner on Twitter was like, can't we just put, just dollars on the blockchain? What are you talking about, bro? Like, this is sort of like the level of thinking that's, out there at the moment. So it's like, this fiat world, isn't possible to be represented on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has UTXO sets, it's got addresses, it doesn't even operate on the same primitives. So building a bridge between these two things means that you kind of need to, like, build a product that fits in on both sides. But one of the sides that you're partnering with or that you're integrating with doesn't fucking like you, or might perceive you as a threat. And you've got to, and this is where again, it ties into the three generations, as Bitcoin isn't infecting the host, right? So Bitcoin's got to kind of get to being something that the host perceives is good for it. And the only way the host can perceive it's good for it is to think that Bitcoin is some sort of gambling or speculatory instrument, because then the host will bring it in. That's the Trojan horse, right? So Wall Street will try and productize it. They'll do all this sort of stuff, and they'll bring more capital into it. But the risk is, along the way, they're going to try and kneecap it. Or, I mean, maybe this whole thing, this regulatory hostility is a way for, knocking out the small guys and, landing like Bitcoin ETFs with the big boys. I don't know what the the behind the scenes politics are, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be ugly, and this is once again part of why I think like these regulators, these guys all just need to die off, basically. And I don't mean that like we need to kill them, like, but they're all what?
Mother Nature,
50
bro.
years old, 60, yeah. 70, exactly.
Mother Nature's going to take its course. I completely agree. And it's actually been known too, where like if you want changes, like either in the scientific community or the educational community, right? What tends to happen is the changes happen when the previous generation starts to die off. Like that's Correct. When things actually change, and Correct. Not before. But what's really interesting, Svetski, is that people keep living longer, right? If you look at like Congress, for example, or like, for example, the president, this dude's in his 80s. The Speaker of the House last year, Nancy Pelosi, was in her 80s as well. Like it's crazy we live in that type of society.
Yeah, I know. They're living longer, and basically they're completely senile. I don't know. I feel like the next couple years, like that's why this decade is so important, right? Because this decade, like the 2020s, is kind of the last phase of Bitcoin's, first era, and we move into Bitcoin's second era, and like we're gonna have to go through all sorts of crazy shit, I think, to come out of this era, so that Bitcoin starts to be perceived as necessary infrastructure in the world.